Good morning. Welcome back to day 5 of AWS User Group Pune Security Week. I am Vishal Alhat, a lead of AWS User Group Pune, with you today for today's this great session. And let me share my screen quickly. So let's review what we have done until for the AWS User Group Pune Security Week and what we are going to cover today. Okay. So those who were not able to attend the previous days of AWS Security Week, let's overview the things what we have covered till now and what things we are going to see today as well. So before starting that, let me tell you what was the objective behind this particular Security Week. So few days ago in January, we did a security focused event that was AWS Community Day, DevSecOps Edition. So that was very well received by the audience, and there were many attendees who gave us very good feedback that it was very useful, and they wanted to have more such sessions. And after that, we could hear from many people that they could not attend the event because it was in-person event in Pune, and they could not travel to Pune for that particular event, but they were very interested to attend the sessions that were there. Many of the sessions were at advanced level, 300 plus level for the users, and many people wanted to attend that. So many people requested to stream it live, but for the community days, we generally do not stream the sessions. So and many people could not get the tickets as well. We had very limited availability of 300 people, and those were sold out very early, so we could not uh, get people to accommodate in the venue. That was one of the reasons. So yeah, uh, after that, we decided that we should do something for the people that are those are not in Pune. And then we discussed in the team with AWS User Group Pune, and we came to a solution that we should go live with the security series so that people will understand what are the security services with AWS and what are the how they can improve their security posture, as well as how they can start with the security concepts to the people who do not have much exposure to security services and security concepts. They will be able to understand how they can improve the security of their applications as well. So there are a few objectives of this particular security week. This security week will help you to enhance your AWS knowledge and cloud security knowledge as well. So in this particular security week, we have tried to focus on majority of the AWS services that will be helpful to deploy your workload on AWS securely. Along with that, we have covered the services that will help you to secure your workload as well. So you can implement those services in order to integrate with your existing workloads and services like EC2 instance, Lambda, RDS, and secure your workloads. After that, uh, we are next motive for this was to help you stay ahead of the latest threats and improve your security posture. So the threats are evolving day by day. There are hackers and malicious people who are trying to breach the systems, breach the servers, and get access to it with some ill intentions. So in order to stay ahead of the latest threats and you make sure your secure system is secure and unreachable from any kind of attacks, and in order to improve your security posture of your company as well as your product that you are hosting, it is very helpful to understand what are the things that will help you to improve your security posture. Then next thing was gaining the valuable insights from the industry experts. So we had many speakers lined up for this week who helped us to understand what are the services that will help you to secure your workloads on AWS, how you can detect the issues, how you can detect the vulnerabilities in your system, and how you can secure your system with multiple services and applications. And it will help you to understand where your system is lacking in kind of security. If you know about the AWS security pillar, uh, we have a so like if you have in the security pillar we have a shared responsibility model, which explains how we are going to see that in our session into the session as well. It explains us how it helps us to understand uh, the responsibility as customers versus responsibility at AWS. So it is very important to understand the insights and basics of the security, so that as a developer, as a software professional, or as a QA, or as a DevOps engineer, you will understand what are the things that you need to consider when you are starting with your own products or services as well. Okay. And next thing is, there are many people joining this stream, so it is very helpful for everyone to understand that there are multiple speakers. You can connect with any of the speakers on the social media platforms like LinkedIn, and you can connect with them, ask your questions. Many of the people have already asked their questions in the live streams as well, in the earlier live streams, and I would encourage you guys to ask your any kind of questions related to security in your comments and chats, and I'll be happy to answer those as well today. uh, and you can connect with your speakers, and even after the session you can connect with them on LinkedIn, or you can connect them on our user group page and ask your questions. So even you'll see other security enthusiasts who are really interested to explore the AWS and security services, so you can connect with them and network with them as well. Okay. So next, let's see what things we have covered until now in this AWS Security Week, and what things we are going to see today. Okay. So for today, for day one of the AWS Security Week, we had Kirti Dabai from AWS. She's a technical account manager at AWS, and she covered AWS Security Hub. That was very important service again when we are considering the AWS security. For the day two, we had Samiksha Gaur. She explained us Amazon Inspector, and she's also from AWS. For day three, we had Amazon Guard Duty. This was a kind of advanced topic around 300 to 400 level, that was covered by Shagun Beniwal from AWS, and he explained about many of the concepts, and he showed us the hands-on demo about Amazon Guard Duty, how we can implement the Amazon Guard Duty, and how we can help improve our security posture with Amazon Guard Duty. Yesterday, for the day four, we had Anjali Sharma. She explained us with the Amazon Detective and Amazon Messi, and it was very helpful to understand the vulnerabilities, how Amazon Detective manages the vulnerabilities, and how we can see all the vulnerabilities on the dashboard, and how that can be filtered on Amazon Detective, and how we can improve our security using Amazon Detective as well. For today, so this is the last day of the this AWS Security Week, and for today, I'll be your host, and as well as the speaker for today's session. I'll be explaining you about the AWS WAF and that is AWS Web Application Firewall, and AWS Shield. Those are the two services that are important when you want to secure your web applications that are hosted on AWS. So without much delaying, I'll start with my quick introduction, and then we'll go through the today's agenda, what we are going to see today, and then we'll see the uh, actual actions in the live. Okay. So my name is Vishal Alhat. I'm a senior DevOps engineer at Forcepoint Software. I'm the leader of AWS User Group Pune, as well as I'm a AWS Community Builder. I recently won AWS Community Builder of the Year award for APJ region, and I'm a active community contributor. I keep presenting in various meetups and community days, because community and sharing the knowledge with community is my passion. So it helps me to learn new things, as well as it helps me. It gives me a satisfaction when people learn from me or learn new things related to the cloud or AWS or cybersecurity as well. Okay, so this was my quick introduction. Uh, let's move to the let's move to the session today. So today's session agenda for today's session is very straightforward. We are going to overview the services that we have in AWS uh, for the security, what the things we can implement in security. So this will be kind of entirely a practical way. I don't have any fancy slides to show. I'll directly open the console and I'll show you in a practical way. We are going to do it in a workshop fashion, right? So we are going to see first the services in AWS that can help you to implement your workloads and web applications securely on AWS. We are going to see all the services. We are going to revise the services that we saw earlier in the earlier sessions as well. And after that, we are going to see a quick workshop how we can implement AWS Web Application Firewall and the ACL for your application. And we are going to see we have an application, a dummy application that we are going to use in order to implement, in order to see the vulnerabilities in the application, and we are going to run the some of the malicious or some of the we can say vulnerabilities. We are going to hit some of the requests like SQL injection attack in order to see that request is coming, and then WAF is going to block it. So this will be kind of real-time action scenarios that we are going to see, and I'm sure that you are going to love it. So meanwhile, if you have any questions, you feel free to add them into YouTube or LinkedIn chat box, and I'll come back to the chat window and answer your questions in between the sessions as well. We can try to make it as interactive as possible. Okay, so let's start with the today's session. Let me share my screen for agenda. So I'm logging into my AWS console. Now, so as I told you, we are going to directly work on AWS console today and see what are the services and what are the things that we can do. Just give me a minute. So meanwhile, if you guys have any questions related to the previous sessions that you have attended, you can ask it in chat window or on our LinkedIn or YouTube comments or message box as well. Or you can go ahead and uh, ping me directly on LinkedIn or any of the channels as well, on Twitter, LinkedIn, AWS User Group, or my personal channel as well. Okay. Yeah. So this is my favorite window, AWS console. We usually work on the go to the console for any kind of AWS things, right? So whatever things that we need to implement, we go to AWS, create our resources, and check the themes, monitor the themes on the console. So for today, let me quickly open up these few of the security services. Okay, so let's start first with the overview of the AWS services that are very important for exploring or securing your workloads, and understand how we can implement the security for AWS. So I'll first go to the AWS guard duty. Yeah, so first step, the AWS guard duty. This is the service that uses machine learning to detect any kind of unusual behavior in your AWS accounts. So think of it like a security watchdog sniffing out the threats. Okay, right. Like for example, if someone tries to access your resources from an unusual location, uh, like someone is trying from other countries trying to access your resources, then guard will raise an alarm, and it will help you to take quick actions to keep your data safe. So I guess Shagun had very well explained with the all the details about the guide duty. You can go ahead and look into the earlier videos that we have on LinkedIn or YouTube. You can see the video of Shagun Veniwal for Amazon Guard Duty. He has very well explained in the demo. So I'm not going to explain the things in demo. I'm just going to show you on the console what is guard duty and what are the things that are the basic concepts of guard duty that are helpful to understand and secure your workloads on AWS, right? So yeah, Amazon Guard is one of the service. If you want to learn more, you can go to our YouTube channel and see the video of this series from just day 3 from Shagun Beniwal. You can look into that video for the detailed demo as well. Okay. Then next service we are going to see is IAM, AWS Identity Access Management. So this service is basically very useful to provide access and manage the authentication for particular users. So this one is like a digital bouncer, like bouncer we see in the events. It is kind of a digital bouncer for your applications that helps you controlling who gets access to what in your AWS kingdom. So consider this account as an AWS kingdom, and there are bouncers standing outside your kingdom who are helping to provide or control the access to things, where someone should go, where someone should be restricted. All the things will be managed by AWS IAM, right? So imagine you are throwing a party and you have got a list of invited guests, list of the guests, and this is something like this is I am in the action if you see in the real world. So you decide who gets the VIP access for particular section and who will be stuck at the door and who will be restricted the entire entry to entire party, right? So in AWS IAM we have user groups, we have user roles, and we have multiple users who help us to get the help us to provide this correct access to all the services that we have in AWS, even with the integration with the services as well. Okay. So with the AM, we can create the user groups, we can create the roles, we can create multiple policies that will help you to define the boundaries for user access, right? And we can then add in few of the security measures. We have options to set the MFA for users. If you have programmatic access, you can use tokens in order to secure your access keys as well for particular users that we are using with the AWS IAM. And then IAM has a few other options like external access, and they have analysis for your access, and like it is called as access analyzer for IAM, where you can see analyze all the access related things, and you can take the actions, corrective actions if there are some in the incorrect permissions set for your IAM users, right? Then next third service I would like to explore is an Amazon Inspector. Yeah. So Amazon Inspector, as the name says, it's inspector type. So this service checks your application for security vulnerabilities. You can picture this like your app is a sandcastle and inspector is a kid with a metal detector, making sure there are no hidden threats or buried treasures in your sandcastle, right? So as an inspector will try to check all the services and application for the vulnerabilities in your application. If you want to explore more, it is kind of automated service and you just need to configure your services and workloads with it. And if you want to explore more about these services, we had a session on day 2 for Amazon Inspector from Samiksha. You can go to our YouTube channel and see it in a live action. There is a demo for Inspector as well, and it is really very well explained. So you can go ahead and see that demo. If you have any questions about Amazon Inspector, you can ask in the chat window for that particular day as well. Okay. Then next we have AWS Web Application Firewall. I'm just prioritizing the things according to how we can implement the security. So WAF or Web Application Firewall. So WAF is kind of bodyguard for your website. Any kind of web application that you are hosting on AWS, it is kind of bodyguard for your website. It will shield your entire application from sort of online attacks, and it will stop the online attacks entering your web server as well. And it is like a superhero with a force field. It will have a force field around it. For instance, if a hacker tries to exploit a vulnerability in your website's code, right, and uh, tries to do some malicious activity, then in that case, web application firewall will step in and block that particular attack. It will log that attack as well, so that you will understand that particular thing, and it will keep your users safe. There won't be any impact to your users. So this is one of the major topics that we are going to see today. I have curated one demo or workshop for today's session, so we are going to see this later. But before that, we'll go into the rest of the AWS services that we have in order to secure your AWS accounts, right? So after AWS WAF, we have Amazon Messi. So Amazon Messi, you can call it as your data detective. So what does detective do? Detective just goes and sees what are the things, what are the correct things, what are the wrong things, and he can smell anything that is inside that is wrong there inside, right? So let's see the Messi on the dashboard. Okay. So I not set up many of the things for particular workload that are hosted on this account, because this is the account that I work as a uh, I work on this account. This is a POC account. We just try to do some kind of R&D stuff over here. So we do not have any much live applications set up on this account. So for Amazon Messi, as I told you, it is a data detective. It is designed to find and protect the sensitive information like credit cards, numbers, social security numbers, or if you're in India, Aadhaar card, or any kind of security special, any kind of your bank information, those kind of things. So imagine Messi as your super smart friend who is always looking out for your secrets, right? And if someone accidentally leaves any kind of files with sensitive information that is wide open, Messi will quickly give you a heads up that this is something that should not be exposed. So in many of the talks, I give example of expose credentials of AWS CLI or AWS API keys, right? So uh, uh, many of the developers do this mistake. They create their application, then they add their credentials for database or any kind of APIs or AWS SDK credentials as well in their environment file, or some of the any kind of file that they are using to refer the variables from, right? And then once the development is completed, they go to version control, mainly like in the repository they try to push their code on Git or SVN, and many times it is public, right? So they try to push it, and that particular credentials are exposed to the world, right? There are crawlers that are searching for this kind of information on the internet. There are scripts. I have few of the scripts. If I get time, I'll show you the scripts, how the crawlers work, and how they can find that particular information on internet. So they try to find out that information. If they find that information, they will steal your credentials, and they will try to breach your systems, try to use your resources. And if they are AWS credentials, they will get those credentials. They'll try to access your account, they'll try to access your data, and one of the other main intentions is try to use your account in order to spin the instances that they can use for their malicious activities, like sending out bulk emails, then using some kind of malicious scripts that can be executed from your account. And they need a resource power, or they need resources in order to do some activities like Bitcoin mining, right? They can earn from that particular Bitcoin mine. So they will spin up the GPU instances of higher classes or higher types, and they'll then start earning from that, start earning bitcoins from that. So these are many of the instances. There are many instances that have happened earlier where hackers were able to get these kind of credentials from their environment files, and they're able to uh, spin up many of the instances, and the bill of the account owner was shoot to uh, thousands of dollars after that. So in these particular scenarios, this is not just about AWS credentials. Any kind of credentials that you can see in your application and that can be exposed, Amazon Messi will be your will be your friend in order to sniff your that particular leakages, and it will act you as a data detective. It will help you to protect your sensitive information like credit cards, SSNs, or any kind of credentials as well inside your system. You'll need to configure that, and it will look for your secrets. And if you have accidentally left any kind of sensitive information open, it will show you the report, and then you can fix it, right? And next one is Amazon Detective. So, if you have heard about the machine learning, obviously, so all like Messi even is works on the basis of machine learning. It tries to there are algorithms that are used in order to train the Messi models, and it tries to find out the sensitive information using those machine learning models. Okay. So the next service is Amazon Detective. So it is the same detective, the that we see in real life. So detective, the Sherlock Holmes of AWS security, we can say, right? So it analyzes and investigates the potential security issues in your environment that you are hosted on AWS, and helping you to unravel the mysteries behind the unusual activities. So, for example, if someone is behaving suspiciously, the detective gathers the clues and presents you with a detailed report so you can take action swiftly. It is similar to your detective in real life, or any police authority that is trying to investigate on some of the cases. So they try to find out some clues or hints for your case, and they'll create a report of it, and then it will give you a detailed report so you can act on that particular action. So Amazon Detective, as you can see on console, Amazon Detective is it will help you to investigate potential security risks. So yesterday, I guess Anjali had explained this very well, and she had given the demo of this particular service. So you can go ahead and look at yesterday's recorded video to see actual demo of the Amazon Detective, and how it helps to investigate the potential security issues that are in your account. It will show you the entire dashboard of statistical analysis and then graphs, and you can use any kind of external services and monitoring tools as well. You can export the data from Detective and use that data in other services. Even in the AWS Security Hub, you will get to know all the things that AWS or Amazon Detective has found from there, right? Yeah, so you can go to this console in order to get started with the Amazon Detective, and if you want to learn more, you can go through these videos as well. They are very useful. They give you quick overview of the services, and yeah, this is the few of the prices uh, that are charged for the Amazon Detective by Amazon. So it depends on the size of the logs. For first 0 to 1000 GB or 1 TB, there is $2 per GB. For next 4 TB to 5 TB, we have $1 per GB. For next 5 TB up to 10,000 gigabytes or 10 TB, we have 0.50 gigabyte per gigabyte. And over 10,000 gigabytes, you will have 0.25 per gigabyte, right? And we already saw about the benefits and features. One of the features that I would like to add is it has a multi-account support. So within few clicks, you can integrate your multiple accounts on AWS that you have, and it will review all of their findings together. So if you are kind of owner for the accounts, you can designate an administrator account for security, and you can enable the your security team to see that consolidated findings for all your accounts. So that will be kind of centralized monitoring for all the issues that are happening to your account, right? Then next service I would like to explain is KMS, Key Management Service from AWS, that will help you to generate and manage the encryption keys from that we are using. So everyone knows encryption keys, what are they and how they work. So KMS, consider KMS as your digital locksmith, right? In real life, what locksmith does is it creates the keys. It helps you to lock your secure applications. It creates locks and keys that will help you to secure your home or properties. So similarly, AWS KMS, you can call it a digital locksmith that will help you to create and manage the encryption keys to protect your data, right? So think of it as locking valuable belongings in a safe with your own personal key, right? So with KMS, only authorized users can access your encrypted data, keeping it secure even if it fails, even if it falls in the wrong hands. So if you the hacker does not have your personal key, encryption key, he won't be able to see that data even if that is hacked, right? So that is how encryption works, right? When the data is encrypted, no one can decrypt unless he has that encryption key with him. Okay, so excuse me. So AWS Key Management Service, uh, as I told you, we can create the keys. We can even import our existing keys into the key management service and use it. Uh, so this is one of the very often used uh, services with AWS uh, for encrypting any kind of service. Even the internal traffic between AWS is encrypted with key management service. Uh, if you want to protect your traffic in transit between your client and your server, you can even use KMS when you are accessing your AWS console or AWS accounts using any kind of tools like CLI, SDK. You can use KMS in order to protect your traffic in transit as well. So in this console, you can see all the keys that are there, that are AWS managed for their services. We have customer managed services. You can create your own key, and there are type of keys like symmetric key, asymmetric key, and encryption and decryption. We are not going much deep into this, but you can use these services for any kind of things. You can even use your hardware keys. You can use your hardware keys, external keys with the KMS in order to integrate with your AWS services. Okay. Next service you are going to use the review is Amazon CloudWatch. Okay. So this is the service that is used by all the developers, all the DevOps engineers, majorly. Everyone has access to, majority of people will have access to this service to see the logs for their particular applications. Right? Excuse me. So Amazon CloudWatch logs, it is kind of your logs clouds detective. Uh, so we saw already detective. So it will be kind of your cloud detective notebook. It will log everything. It will collect everything, right? So it will this particular service collects and stores log data from various AWS resources like EC2, RDS, and allowing you to track the events and activities that are happening with your application or your workloads that are hosted on AWS on multiple services. So imagine this is your security footage camera that is in front of your home, and if something suspicious happens, you can go to your DVR and review the logs and map those pieces together to create the story and find the issues for your kind of breach for your property, right? So similar to that, CloudWatch will help you to provide the logs for all of the services. So CloudWatch has this kind of console. You can create your own dashboards as well with the CloudWatch. It will show you all the logs within the graphical format, as well as you can go to the logs and find the log groups and see all the logs that are there, configure for your application, right? You have live trail for the applications. You can see live logs coming from your application. Your You can install the CloudWatch agent inside your EC2 instance in order to get the logs from your applications as well, right? You can configure that CloudWatch agent and get the logs directly inside the CloudWatch. Okay. After that, next service we are going to review is AWS Shield. Okay, so AWS Shield, it is kind of fortress wall against your DDoS attack, denial of service, distributed denial of service attacks. So I hope everyone knows about distributed denial of service attack. This is kind of attack done by attackers in order to create downtime for your system or bring your systems down, because servers have limited capacity to serve the requests that are incoming, requests that are coming to your servers. So what these attackers do is create fake requests to your server, so that your server will be always busy to respond to those fake requests and actual requests will be denied. So this is majorly done by the competitors or the people who don't want your service to run smoothly, or there might be hackers who want to get inside your account by stopping the external traffic, or they want to steal some data from in transit from other users as well, right? So it is like a force field that protects your application from being overwhelmed by the malicious traffic. Okay, so imagine your website or web application that is hosted on AWS. It is like a castle, right? And Shield will be a moat that stops enemies. It will be a big moat that will stop enemy attacks, DDoS attack, or attackers from flooding in and causing the chaos for your applications. So WAF will be in between the application and attacker. It will identify that denial of service attack. The Shield will detect that particular attack, and it will help you to stop it. So there are two categories of AWS Shield. One is included with the AWS Web Application Firewall, which will help you to protect from the basic denial of service attacks. And then we have a shield that costs you around 3,000 US dollars per month. That is kind of advanced AWS Shield, and that will help you to protect your data from advanced denial of service attacks as well. Okay, and then yeah, AWS Shield Advanced. So this is kind of denial of service at protection. AWS tries to monitor your entire activities of your network traffic in order to uh, uh, find out potential denial of service attacks that are coming to your system or servers, and then it will interrogate those traffics, and it will automatically mitigate those kind of denial of service attacks. So as I told you, that it offers with the 2 tiers of protection: standard and advanced protection. Standard is free of cost with AWS Web Application Firewall, and advanced protection is costs you around $3,000 per month. So if you have any service that has continuous, like that needs to be continuously up without any kind of zero downtime, this is the service that you should consider in order to protect your data, right? Then last service that we are going to see is AWS Secrets Manager. My screen is not refreshing. Let me try to cast it again. Yeah, sorry for that. There was some issue with the screen share and I was not able to, so it was stuck on WAF Shield. So AWS Secrets Manager is a service that we are going to see. So we have a few questions, but we'll first go through this entire overview and then we'll then take out those questions as well. So Secrets Manager, it is kind of your vault for sensitive information. So it will help you to securely store, manage, and rotate your credentials that are there, like passwords, API keys, or database credentials that we use in order to interact with your database stored on AWS or on any external services as well. There might be your on-premises databases that needs to be accessed. So you can store those credentials on AWS Secret Manager, right? Think of it as a highly secure logbox for your digital keys. Only those with the right combination of keys can access your secrets, right? So only the people who will have access to AWS Secrets Manager can access it with the IAM. If we have seen IAM, so with the IAM correct IAM roles and credentials, you can access those keys stored in the AWS Secrets Manager. So these AWS service security services are like all we covered all of the services that are essential to secure your workloads. So you should go ahead whenever I like if you see about the secret manager on this dashboard. So this is one of the very useful service again. Uh, we saw one of the scenarios where credentials were stolen from your environment file or your code. So if you had stored your credentials, if the user had stored their credentials in AWS Secrets Manager, it would be very difficult to for hackers to get that particular credentials, right? Because in AWS Secrets Manager, those credentials are again are stored in the encrypted format, and it is very hard to decrypt them without any kind of key. And we have seen KMS in order to AWS uses KMS in order to encrypt those keys as well. So you don't have to think about rotating your keys, storing your keys, or encrypting your keys over there, or monitoring the activities for key related activities for your application. So yeah, I guess we have almost covered all the services that are required for securing your services on AWS. These are the major services that are used in order to protect your data, workloads, and applications hosted on your AWS account, right? So yeah, so these services are like trusty sidekicks that will help you to defend your cloud fortress from the external people who have some ill intentions about your applications. So remember, in this ever evolving world of the cloud security, staying informed and staying prepared is always a key. You will always have to stay prepared for the attack. So these services will help you to stay prepared and stay informed about the things that are happening to your AWS workload and AWS account. Okay. So without much delay, let's start with a quick overview, or these were the quick overview. We'll start with the demo for actual web application firewall that uh, or WAF that will help you to protect your service on AWS. So everyone knows we can host any kind of applications on AWS, right? That might be your web application, that might be uh, any kind of applications that is hosted on AWS. So that might be database application, that might be analytics application that will be helpful. So for the web-based applications, if you know, web-based applications are uh, uh, frequently vulnerable to the web exploits that are there. There are vulnerabilities that, if you heard about OWASP, there are multiple vulnerabilities that are there in the market that keep attacking to your applications and try to breach your system and get data from you, and make your application vulnerable so that they can enter in your system and get access to it, right? So for today, we are going to see a workshop or quick demo for this particular uh, web web application firewall. Give me a minute. I'm just trying to open up the. I'll share you the link of the workshop as well, so you can try that on your side. So for today's workshop, we have created a service. So in order to save the time for in deploying the services, I have already created those services. I'll just show you how I created those services quickly, and then you can go to the uh, work URL and try to implement those services as well. So this was the stack created using CloudFormation for event. So stack is nothing but a template, infrastructure as a code template that will help you to create your infrastructure. And you can, if you define kind of any kind of outputs, you can see over here. Yeah, so this is the application that we are using in order to see. This is kind of application with the vulnerabilities inside already, and they are yeah, these are the few of the things that are there in application. So this stack has created multiple resources like load balancer and auto skill configuration and network required network configuration as well as EC2 instance. I am facing some challenges with opening the workshop with the workshop studio, and just give me a few minutes. This is like I'm feeling like I'm working on some kind of application debugging, and I'm fixing some issues. So workshop studio has some problems, so I'm not able to access that workshop right now with the AWS. I'll just share that with my screen as well. Let me stop and share my entire screen so that will be helpful for you to see. Yeah, there are some issues with the workshop studio. Like, okay, let me get that fixed, and until that, we'll just go ahead and try with the AWS console uh, and explore the things. Let's try to explore the things that we have in WAF and the things that we have created. Okay, so in Web Shield, in Web Application Firewall, we are going to see all the rules that are provided by AWS that are called as managed rules, and we can create our own custom rules as well for your service. So as I told you in in the using the cloud formation, we have created all the resources that are required, and due to limitation time we could not do that entirely in this particular hands-on session, but you can go ahead. I'll share you the links and details of the blog post for which you can refer in order to create your entire workload and that dummy application in order to see how you can create the infrastructure and how that can be integrated with AWS Web Application Firewall as well. So in Web Application Firewall, what we are going to see is we are going to create a Web SEL today for your application. So when we are trying to create a SEL, access control list for Web Application Firewall, we are going to see that yeah, you can configure it with the cloud formation distributions or regional load balancer or the regional services that you have with your application. So I just add it domain name security break. Hope my screen is correctly visible to everyone. Yeah. So in regional resources, you need to define name and any kind of metric. You can use any metric for. I use date and cloud as a cloud or metric name. It will log all the uh, things in the cloud watch using this metric name. Okay, and in the add resources, you need to add resources like AWS load balancer. Get so these are kind of resources that can be associated with this web application firewall. You can use application load balancer that is in your account. Then you can use Amazon API, Amazon app load runner services, or AppSync global GraphQL services. You can use Amazon Community User Pool or Amazon Verified Access as well. So for this application that we have created, OS Juice Shop, we are going to use application load balancer and select the load balancer that we have created earlier using CloudFormation. Okay, we configured the resource, associated the resource with this particular firewall. Let's go to next screen and let's add some rules to it. Okay, so there are two types of rules that I told you. There are managed rules by AWS, and you can define your own rules as well. Okay, and we are going to see what are the capacities as well for the uh, those rules. Okay, so these are the managed rules. Those are there are a few rules that are provided by AWS. There are a few other rules provided by the many of the leading security companies in the market. Yeah, so these rules are from AWS. You can see we are going to see what are the rules that we can add, and these are the managed rules from other services as well for your web applications. So you can consider this as an example for example, I will tell you, you have everyone has seen firewall, right? Sorry, the antivirus and firewall that is installed in your machine, right? So antivirus updates its own definitions periodically, right? It syncs with their servers and updates its definitions. This is similar to you can relate it with the antivirus or the antivirus and web application firewall. Application firewall has its own rules. If you consider about managed rules, AWS keeps updating those rules in order to protect your accounts from the latest threats and vulnerabilities in your system, or the latest attacks, preventing that from your system. Apart from that, if you are using any custom rules, right, even if they are managed rules from other service providers, they have their automation set in order to update their rules. And if you are using our custom rules, you can integrate web application firewall with machine learning things like SageMaker and Lambda functions in order to assess your logs that are in CloudWatch and add that vulnerabilities and rules inside your application. So you can define that systems, define that application in application logic in your Lambda functions and create it in order to create a foolproof rule that will block your attacks that are coming to your systems, right? So a few of them are free, few of them might be paid. You can see there are subscriptions for in marketplace for a few of the security group rules as well. So let's see in the managed group rules. These are the paid rules. These are the free rules. So for now, let's go with the let's see what are the rules and what do they do. So first rule is admin protection. So many of the pages, if you have seen web applications like Joomla, WordPress, or any Drupal or any kind of CMS applications, they have their admin pages, right? Slash admin.php or slash admin. Or if you have seen any kind of um, s- uh, CRP applications or SAP applications, they have their admin pages and customer front pages. So this particular protection helps you from exploits that are targeting the admin pages and they are trying to access the or find out and access the admin pages. So hackers have the scripts or automation set in order to scan your entire application and find out the admin pages for your system so that they can go ahead and excuse me, they can go ahead and do a brute force attack for the entering into your systems, or access your admin pages and send some API calls in order to try to get inside your systems. So admin page is one of kind of gateway where they can enter into your system, because admin account will have access to almost all the system in your application. So in order to add this to your ACL, we just created a ACL, and in order to add this to ACL, you just need to create this. If you want to edit this particular rule, you can override those things, right, as well. So this particular admin protection rule, you can see all these things. What it will do is inspect all the welcoming requests. You can specifically specify some rules which request you want to inspect with this particular rule. So there might be some legitimate requests, right, that needs to have access to that admin pages. So you can add exception to those requests and inspect the rest of the requests as well. For admin protection, like there might be a URI path that is trying to be accessed by the hackers. So in the action block, you need to provide what action you want to do in order to protect users, protect your application from those malicious users. So you can override this default action from block to allow. If you just want to see, you can add like there might be multiple scenarios. You are creating a rule that is kind of acting as a white list for particular users. So you have a URL that needs to be always accessible. There should not be any kind of blocking for that URL. There might be scenario. So in that case, you can add a rule override to allow, so that any other rules would block it, and this particular user will always allow. You can set the priorities for the rules, and it will override. If you select override to allow, it will be always allowed and not blocked by the web application firewall. If you set it to override to block, it will block that particular incoming request that is inspected by the rule, and that looks like admin attack to your admin pages, and it will block that. Then there is option called count, where it will try to inspect that request, and it will count that yes, one request that looks like attack has arrived to your application server, and it will count and it will log that, and you can go to WAF console and see the count of the requests that are coming, right? And then you can go to override to capture challenges, and capture or challenge thing, and it will go to capture and do it, right? So let's get back to the rules. This is admin protection rules. Then Amazon IP reputation list. So Amazon manages own IP list, reputation list, using the threat intelligence with the Amazon, and it will block all the IP addresses that are in their reputation list. That might be bots, or that might be originating other threats like denial of service attacks. So Amazon maintains that list, and it has a multiple. It has huge set of lists that blocks this kind of scripted attacks or bot attacks from the sources where it is originating. Like there are many of the sources where the automations are set in order to crawl your system. You can block it from the reputation list. So in this case, this is all managed by Amazon. You don't need to worry about adding the IP address to that reputation list, or if there are some IP addresses that are trying to access your systems with some kind of crawlers or some kind of uh, attacks, like they are trying to access your system using SSH attacks, it will be stopped with this repetition list. So majority of hackers list IP address will be already there, unless they are using proxies. AWS's threat intelligence is smart enough right now to identify the proxies as well. So this will help you to mitigate those kind of attacks as well. Then we have anonymous IP list. This is a kind of group that contains rules that allows you to block requests from the services that hide the user identity. That's what I told you, the proxy thing. And you can enable this rule to prevent attacks from this kind of anonymous IP lists like proxies or requests coming from the public VPNs or any kind of Tor nodes that are set up for to do these kind of attacks, right? And yeah, these are a few of the rules. I'll go through the majority of the service rules that are used because there are multiple rules. We will run out of the time if we keep explaining all the services. So you might have heard about the that majority of the applications are hosted on Linux. So if you see about the web application, so Linux, for the Linux operating system, this particular rule is there that contains all the exploitations and vulnerabilities related to the Linux file system, and where users can play with your file system roles and permissions, and they'll try to get inside your system and access your file system. This helps you prevent those kind of Linux operating system attacks of LFI attacks. If you heard about LFI attacks, okay, so you can add it to your website. So there is a count. This is something that we need to consider. We have a fixed capacity for each ACL that you can configure. If you override this, you'll need to create another ACL for your application as well. So next is PSP application. If you know, there are PSP applications that hold major stack of the web applications. If you heard of the WordPress that is hosted on AWS, if you heard about Facebook, Facebook's front end was developed earlier with the PHP only. Even the open source marketing tools like Mautic are hosted or that are created in PHP. So with these rules contains all the predefined attacks that are there for the PHP applications, all the vulnerabilities and all the exploiting attack signatures that are used in order to breach the PHP applications are already there, including injection or unsafe PHP functions that can be used in order to enter your system. Excuse me. Today's session is going to be a little long because we are going to see all the things that are with the web application firewall along with the overview that we see for the rest of the services, right? So I'll try to help you with all the basic concepts, and then I'll share you the workshop link, the correct workshop link that we could not do today due to the inaccessibility of URL. But I'll share that link with you, and I'll show you all the documentation. And uh, as we are exploring all of those things, you can go ahead and try out those things on your own. It is very easy to set up for level of skills. So you can go ahead and try with that. And if you need help, I'll help you with that as well. So next type of attack is SQL database attack. So with the many of the applications, we use SQL databases. So this SQL database attack rule has it has rules that identify the patterns that are associated with the exploitation of the SQL injection attacks or SQL type of attacks. So if you have heard about SQL injection attack, it will this attack will modify your URLs to pass some scripts like it will pass something like login equal to true in your URL, and that particular thing will go to your web server, and that will act as a SQL query in order to bypass your login. This is the basic example of SQL injection attack. And if you use this rule, it will help you to prevent the remote injection of unauthorized users and unauthorized queries, because when you are hitting that with the URL, if I just modify this URL with something like uh, uh, login equals to true, or any kind of this kind of mechanisms or hacks in order to enter your system. So as this web application will be already logged into your system, as it has all the credentials defined, it will be kind of unauthorized access to your data or execution of the queries to your SQL database, right? Okay. After that, if you are using Windows with your system and you are using PowerShell commands, or the BAT scripts in order to execute some kind of automations, then you can add these rules. It will prevent the exploit that will allow attackers to do unauthorized operations on your Windows machines using malicious codes, right? And then last important is web or WordPress application. You know, WordPress is the world's leading blog hosting application, and along with that, it is most vulnerable application as well. If you see, so if you add these rules, it will add all the vulnerability rules that are there that will help you block your WordPress website or WordPress application. Okay. Apart from that, you have known bad input. That is also a very important rule. So in bad input, the input request that we are sending to server, um, hackers will send some invalid request in order to try to exploit your system and discover the data or discover the application vulnerabilities or weak points of your system. They'll try to breach system using that particular attacks. They will send some bad inputs like some kind of encoded strings, and they'll try to see if your system is acting to those things as well. Yeah, so all these things are happening with your application layer, right, where the web server is involved, and it is trying to hit the request to web server, and web application lies in at application server to inspect those requests, and it will act on those requests according to the rule sets that we have created. Okay. So for now, we'll just add these particular rules that we have. These are the paid rules like bot control or account creation fraud prevention. Like if you heard about, yeah, this is one of the major attacks that are nowadays seen. There are systems uh, that are used for uh, creating accounts for your system. So if you're using any kind of web application, there will be automated scripts or automated applications. They are so smart nowadays that hackers have ways to resolve the captcha automatically using their machine learning based models. So these particular account creation frauds are happening nowadays, and this particular rule, that is paid rule from AWS, $10 per month, and that is kind of prorated. But it will help you to prevent these kind of attacks. So AWS has definitions to identify those attacks where users are trying to sign up to user to applications and uh, uh, get access to the account. So this happens with the many of the systems where there is open sign up available, and there is some bonus. Like if you see shopping websites where they are providing you some benefits, like for the first order they will give you 50% off. So in that case, in order to grab those kind of coupons, attackers use these kind of hacking mechanisms in order to get inside the system or get the fake accounts created, right? And the bot control is one of the important things. We have basic bot control in the free rules, but with the this advanced bot control rule, it provides you with the protection from the automated bots that are created by the hackers in order to cause the downtime or in order to prevent your systems from serving to the legitimate or genuine customers for your application. That might be your competitors, or that might be your hackers. That might be any kind of hackers that are trying to access your system or access your data, steal your data. There are many intentions of the hacker. They can steal your data and sell your data in black market, or they can send some malware in your system in order to uh, get the access of data for long term as well. So with the bot control, it will help you to identify legitimate request and bot based request, and this rule will choose the product, like it will choose what are the correct request, and correct request will be sent, and bot requests will be stopped at a particular level. So majorly the bot requests, we can see the non-browser based requests where there are some applications or tools that are not using browsers. So even with the headers, every request has the headers. So they can fake the headers to act as a Chrome browser. So this bot control rule will identify that if it is originating from original Chrome browser or not, and it will block if it is not from browser or if it is non-browser traffic as well. Okay, so yeah, these are the basic rules. There are a few other rules like we can use your custom rules in order to maintain our own IP list as well. We can use our own IP list, and like if you see in my own rules, we can create IP sets. You know that there is one competitor for your application that is trying to continuously hit your application using denial of service. Or if you don't want that user to provide access to your system, you can add that particular IP address to the this set, and you can set it to block. You can add the IP address and set it to block for that particular. You can add an IP address range as well for that originating or the source of that attacker or that competitor, and block that particular list. And you can use the rule builder as well. We have visual rule builder with AWS where we can provide your requirements for build. There are if else statements that you can use in order to match your request. So this is particularly very useful when you see some requests that are not matching any of the patterns with the free rules or paid rules that are there. You can create your custom rules over here according to the request. You can access entire request. Even in the AWS Security Hub, you will get many of the findings there, and you can look into that findings, look into the request patterns, and block the request patterns that are not looking legitimate, or that are looking like attack. And then yeah, like you can define the action as well for that particular rules. And then you can create your own rule groups and add those groups to, because there might be multiple groups rules, so you can create groups and then add it to your WebAssembly. So for each WebAssembly that we are creating, it comes in WCUs, like WebAssembly capacity units. So WCUs are used for sorry, people are saying some issues with on streaming. Let me check what issues they are facing. Give a minute. This happens when you are host as well as when you are presenter for any kind of application. Yeah, you need to look for both of the things. Oh, YouTube streaming is not working. Let me check on YouTube. Give me a minute, guys. There is some issue with streaming. People are not able to access the stream. Let me try to add, configure the StreamYard. Yeah, I restarted the stream for YouTube. So yeah, those who were not able to access, they can now access it. Let me add a message as well. Okay, so yeah, I have restarted stream for YouTube. Let's We're looking at WCUs, Web ACL capacity units for the application. So right now we have 625 capacity that we have used. So you cannot exceed beyond 5,000 for this particular ACL, right? So you can add these two rules, and we have added these rules, right? So we can add a default action uh, for the request that do not match. So you can create your application rules in a way that it will help you to, like, you can create a whitelist as well as you can create a blacklist. So if you want to create a web ACL that you have some particular client from particular region or IP address, you have a range of IP addresses that you want them or to be always accessible for all kind of requests, or you have some development center and you don't want any kind of request to be blocked for your development center, or if you have a security team that is continuously assessing your application and you want them to uh, have access to all the requests that are coming to your web application, in that case you can set it the action to allow, and then they will be always allowed for all the requests, right? And if you have a particular users that want to provide access to only particular uh, particular phase of your application, like there is some URL called slash uh, section 1, you want to provide application to section 1, you can configure your rules and block rest of the access using block. They will just be allowed with the section 1, and rest of the traffic, like requests that don't match any rules, will be blocked over here, so they will have access to only that particular list. Okay, this is kind of priority, setting the priority, so that if there are overriding rules or overriding actions in your rules, then that can be prioritized in the way. Okay, you can create metrics, cloud metrics, and custom names. You can set custom names, so that you will get the actions inside your application. And then this is kind of samplings where you can see AWS will collect the samples of the request, and it will be shown on the graph as well as in the in the cloud metrics. Okay, let's move next to people are still facing issues with to Okay, so this will give you an entire overview of the things that we have created with Web Application Firewall. So we can review all the things that we are creating. It will show you region and everything, and metrics that we have set, rules that we have set. So these are few of the sample rules that I have added just to show you the things. In workshop, you'll have the exact rules that you need to add in order to um, inspect your application for and protect your application from the vulnerabilities that there are in this particular application. I'll share you the links and details as well. Okay, and just go to create WebACL. So it takes some time. So you are able to understand what is web application firewall, why it is used, how it will help you to protect your web applications that are hosted on AWS. And if you have any queries, feel free to ask here. We have a question how to from Dheeraj. I'll add that question to screen. How the logic works in terms of root numbering WAF, also with a quick example. Yeah, once we create this particular, I am going to show you the demo of those things, uh, and how that works with the logic. We have seen the logic actually where how it blocks with the things. So it will take some time. It will add those all the rules, and let's see if it's accessible. So I had set up entire workshop yesterday using this URL. There might be some backend things going on. They might be working on those changes. So for the denial of service attack that we saw in the standard and DDoS, AWS provides you with the WAF. You can add the DDoS service, DDoS rule inside your web ACL, and then when you configure that, there is option to add the count of requests. So consider you added 2,000 requests for 5 minutes. It will try to find out. It will try to inspect all the requests, and if you have defined for 5 minutes, if there are 2,000 requests from a single IP address or particular host, then it will block all the further requests so that there won't be any further damage to your servers, and your servers will continue to host your application. Okay. So in this application, there are particular multiple challenges that are there for error handling, security. So these are things that we were adding. So whenever we are adding the rules, the application is running in background, and when we are adding, it is showing that you have successfully solved that challenge. So in a particular workshop, we have a set of challenges defined in order to show that. It will block those particular requests for error handling or security policies that are defined, and then it will show you over here. So what are the rules that we had defined? It is trying to it is going to block those. Let's clear this and let's see now. It is still creating. So use created successfully, but one of the resource requested association failed. So we'll need to associate it again. Let us see if it is associated or not. No. So let's try to associate it again with the load balancer. Application load balancer, security day. Okay. It is not happy with me, and it is not allowing me to try add it to the rules. So okay, what we can do is we can create. Let me try to create a new load balancer for this. It is in US East 1. It should allow. I'm not sure why it is not allowing me to add it to. Let's try to add from here. So we will have two ways to associate. You can go to resource and add, or you can go there and in web application firewall and add it. Try to add it. So let's try. Let's see if that works. So in the security, if you are new to the AWS and you want to implement the things securely, this is the best way. Go to console, try the things, create your application, and try to explore the things. On GitHub, you'll get many of the applications that will help you to do that. Put your code on application, create infrastructure for the thing that you want to try out, make your hands dirty, and try to explore the things as well. Okay, it will take around 2 or 3 minutes, and we cannot go away from this page or it will cancel. So there was a rule for user registration, like sign up. So the user sign up rule that we had added should take care of this particular kind of attack, where hackers are trying to add any kind of random emails, or they have set of emails with them, and they'll try to add that and create an account using those predefined credentials with multiple options. So this is open source application. This is just I have just added this on CloudFront. I'll just try to show you the repository for this application as well. I'll share you the link for links in the chat for this application. You can go ahead and download this. This is the vulnerable application that has many web vulnerabilities, and you can put the code and you can deploy that and try to add it to your web application firewall to see if it blocks the things. It is still trying to add. So apart from that, let's see what are the rest of the things that we have in web application firewall. So in this sample request, you'll see many of the requests that are there with your routes that are blocked, or see this kind of shows a graphical representation. And here you can see all the incoming requests to your application. Once we have our firewall associated with resource, we can see the requests coming to your server or service. And once you have that association, all the requests that are coming, it will show some sample request over here, and on the screen or in this part it will show you each of the requests and action taken for request. So we saw the action allow, block, these kind of actions when it was there, and which rule was used to inspect that particular request. And you can see that, you can see the graphical representation of that as well. In CloudWatch, you can go to CloudWatch and see these metrics to see any kind of logging when that request was originated, what was the IP address, and all the details request related to that particular request will be there. So, for example, this is MySQL injection attack rule. So, for MySQL rule, it will try to log who has originated that and what are the things that it has done. Okay. Okay, it is saying it has successfully integrated now. So we are good. In the shield, we can see the association now. Let me refresh. So this happens many times. Uh, if the resources are not ready, or they are still in creation, it might fail. So you need to try the things again and learn from the things that's the key. So yes, you can see the resources associated. Okay, and I told you about the logging thing. And then in CloudWatch, you can see the log insights over here. Then, yeah, in WebAssembly, I wanted to tell you one more thing. If you want to share your ACL to someone else in your application, they want to deploy that for another application, you can download this WebAssembly. You set up everything for your application. Consider it is WordPress application. You created everything, and you want to replicate all those things again for another account. You can just download and import that in other account as well. So this is very useful and time saving feature as well. This is bot control protection that I told you. It is kind of paid feature, so we are not going with it right now. You can create IP sets over here that we saw, whitelist and blacklist, and that IP sets will be used in the rules again. Then regex patterns. You can create regex patterns for your request. Consider you want to block a request that has a word login success in the request, and you don't want to use that because hackers have identified that particular pattern in your request, and that they are trying to interrogate into your system using that particular pattern. So they will stop it. They won't be able to enter if you add this pattern and add that rule to the group. Okay. Then you will have option to switch to classic WAF. There was a WAF view of classic, the same functions in earlier view as well. That is my favorite. I usually work on classic web because I'm working on with web applications since around 7 or 8 years, and I have set up those things. So I'm seeing that UI, and that is my favorite UI out there. I might not have permissions right now. So let's see the ASL now we have ready. Let's hit send some requests and 402 forbidden. So um, this is forbidden because we have created a rule that is blocking something. So our firewall is now in action because we are able to hit this request. Let's see what it has blocked. So sample request take around 5 or 10 minutes to reflect it here. You can see this is from originating from here. It is blocking the request. What are the requests that are blocked, and which rule it is used? Okay, so these are the things that are getting blocked. So there might be some rule that is blocking. So in that case, if you want to debug, these are the live issues that whenever you are working with, majorly I have faced this with the PHP applications where there were rules that were legitimate to block your attacks. Then they were also blocking your few of your application requests. So in that case, you need to go inside your rules and block particular applications, like block and modify that particular rules as well. So let me try to delete this PHP rule and see if that works. 4043 forbidden is you are not allowed to access that page. So there might be some configuration that we have done to block all the requests somewhere. I don't remember. I was explaining to you. So what things I have associated when I created it. Yeah, so in this sample request, I told you how you can assess and see. So in the sample request, you can see what all the headers of the request, what was the URL, from where it was originated, and all the things that are there with the headers of the request, the browser, version, all those things. Okay. So in this particular web application firewall, what we had done is the default action, if it doesn't match any kind of rules, we had blocked. That's why it was blocking any requests that are matching, that were not matching existing rules. So if I click on allow and click on save, it is going to uh, allow the rest of the requests that are there. So once it is, it takes around few seconds to update the rule, and then we can refresh the page and see if we are able to access it. Right, we are able to access it now. Yeah, so how this that is how we can see uh, the how the rules are working. And this is kind of like, as there was some question from Dheeraj for how these rules work. So this is kind of example how we can block, how we can allow for this kind of rules like MySQL injection. I had scripts that I had created in a demo for workshop, but I'll share that with you in a blog post or with the URLs of the workshop, and you can try out those scripts and try to hit with the same OS application in order to prevent in order to see that your web application firewall is blocking that particular request or not. And you can send some characters with the URL, this particular URL, and try to see if that blocks or not. Let me see if I have that. So yeah, these are the definitions: SQLi body, SQLi cookie, and query agreements. So if you see about query agreements, I'll show you one use case of the query agreement example. Had we enabled the LFI? I don't remember in the rules, but we can hit this as well to check. Let's try to see this. No, we have not added that rule for. So there are multiple scenarios with this workshop that you can try. Like there are some scenarios where you need to hit some URL or hit some script from your browser, some URLs or some SQL injection related scripts in order to. I don't have that right now with handy with me. But once that workshop URL is valid, I'll share that with you, and you can execute that on and try out those things as well. I'm just trying to find out one example for this query injection that we can see if that can be blocked by application or not. So if you see, this is kind of SQL injection in the URL. I hope you can see my address bar here. So this is kind of parameter that it is trying to pass for. It is the SQL injection. It is trying to fetch some data from there. So for this WAF, it will show 403 forbidden because it identified it as a SQL injection attack. So this is plain URL. Someone will send you some something in the email that will have this SQL injection inbuilt in URL, and if your WAF is not enabled with this kind of request, then it will uh, try to get inside your data. So you can see graph with the allowed request, block request over there. Okay, and I don't see the request coming yet, but yeah, SQL injection attack will come here as well. So you can see all the requests that are coming to your server. It takes some time to get the real-time request because those are samples connected, so you won't see it directly here. So there are allowed requests, block requests there. So yeah, in this sample request, you can almost see all the requests or their block requests. You can filter by your rules as well, and try to find out what are the things that are causing the outages to your applications or vulnerabilities in your applications. And if you want more historical data, you can go to CloudWatch and find particular rule group, sorry, the log group, and get it from there as well. So here you can see all the log groups and you can find all the data from there as well. So I think, yeah, that was pretty much for me for today. We saw about web application firewall, and for the shield you can use if you have any kind of time sensitive applications. You can uh, use that particular application to uh, for protecting your uh, web applications with the incoming attacks. If you have a huge amount of data that is being processed on your web application, or if there are application uh, that can be if there is any application that is time sensitive or is latency sensitive, then you can use web application firewall advanced version, and AWS will manage everything. If you want to go with the basic version, you can set up the denial of service settings on your own and request and settings. But there might be a chance that there's some legitimate request, because I have seen in many of the scenarios where there were some applications lying inside clients laptop or machine that was regenerating the request. There was an antivirus endpoint that was regenerating the request multiple times, and due to that, the client was not able to access because web application firewall had blocked, considered that as a denial of service attack, and blocked that IP address for a particular time period. Okay, so this is how it entirely works, the web application firewall standard. So you'll need to configure it in correct way using the timeout, how much time that IP address needs to black, and all those things, right? Okay, I think I'm good with today. Let me see the questions. So for the Dheeraj question, we saw in this example how we can see the rules and how we can prioritize those rules as well. Uh, we have a question from Sankal. How we can use AWS? Can we use AWS organizers to configure AWS WAF? Yes, we can use it. Uh, we have also AWS Firewall Manager over here that we can use with AWS organizations in order to integrate with it. So Firewall Manager is a security management service that we can use to centrally configure and manage those firewall rules and any kind of other protections across AWS accounts that are there, and for all the applications in your organization. Okay, so using the firewall manager, you can roll out the WAF rules. You can create your own AWS Shield advanced protections that we are required. So if you have 10 accounts and you're using AWS organizations, you can integrate that. It will also help you to deploy, or sorry, not deploy. It will help you to configure and audit AWS VPC security groups. It will help you to deploy the network firewalls, and it will use Firewall Manager to set up the protections just once. And once you set up, it will be automatically applied for the accounts that you are managing or that you are creating within your organization as well. Even for the new resources that I told you, for the new resources and account, it will be automatically added that inside your organizations. So this is very useful. You need to have the service linked roles created in order to create enable this integration. This is the prerequisite of thing, and obviously your account must be a member of the AWS organizations, right? Hope that answers your questions, Uncle. There are no other questions. Well, if you have any other questions, I'll share the links with you for the workshop, and then you can go through the workshop and try out the things and let me know your inputs on that if you are blocked with anything. This is very useful, and this particular application is very useful to see in the action what are the things that we need to do for uh, what are the things that we need to identify, because you need to have some vulnerable application in order to find out the vulnerabilities or see the vulnerabilities in action, right? So this will be a very helpful. Go ahead and try it and let me know if you have any queries or any issues with it. Okay. uh, that was all for today's session for Workshop Studio. Thanks all for joining. Apart from this, we are going to have a quiz. I'll share maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow for all the things that we did for this security day. We are going to have a quiz for this security day, and then will be going to with this for this security entire security week, day 1 to day 5. We are going to have some questions from all the sessions that we did. So what you are going to do in order to participate in this quiz is go to our YouTube channel, see the videos that we have uploaded for last 5 days, and or see all the recordings, go through them, identify the services that we have used with AWS for protecting your workloads: Inspector, Guard Duty, Detective, Messi, WAF, and Shield, and rest of the services that we discovered. There will be questions related to those. Try to learn those things. Try to see what services you can implement with your workload, and all the questions will be related to this. This will be kind of online quiz that we are hosting, so make sure you are attending that. It will be a kind of time sensitive, so you'll need to attend that in a fixed time. We'll share the details of the quiz on our AWS User Group Pune's LinkedIn page, as well as on the meetup group, and you can go ahead and attend that quiz. There are very nice prizes for this particular quiz. For the first three winners, we have Amazon.in vouchers, as well as we have Amazon credits for a few other winners as well. So you can use those credits in order to try out the things in your account. You can try use these credits in order to learn any new service, explore any new service, or you want to host any application as POC. You can use that credits as well. Even I use the credits in order to try out the services that we saw in Web Application Firewall today. Okay. So go ahead and try out the things, make your hands dirty. As I told you, security is very important aspect when you are learning things. And if you are a security enthusiast, or you have just started with exploring the security related things, this is the right workshop that you have attended. You will get to know about how you can deploy your workloads securely on AWS, and how you can protect your workload from further attacks that are coming to your applications, and any kind of breaches and vulnerabilities with your attacks, making your application and software unreachable. So I think with this, I'll wrap up this AWS Security Week Day 5, as well as this entire series of AWS Security Week by the AWS User Group Pune. Thank you all the attendees for attending this entire session. Thank you all users who attended, uh, uh, users of AWS User Group Pune, all the members, and thank you all the organizers, like all the organizing team behind this entire security series. Thanks to our co-organizer Dheeraj, who helped us, and thank you to Sankalp Parasbe, who helped us with all the social media related things uh, for this team. I cannot name everyone over here, but all the team was very active with this. Apart from that, I would like to thank you, our AWS community team, um, from AWS community. Ridhima has helped us a lot in organizing this particular session, and for all the activities that we are doing with the AWS user group. So we had first reached out to Ridhima for this particular security week, and she was very positive with the things that we are going to do, because in the DevSecOps edition that we did in January, we had got a very pretty huge response to all of the sessions that we had created and curated, and it was very useful for all level of users. So uh, this is something that we should think when we are thinking about the community. When people are coming to learn new things, we should consider the people from all the levels, right? So Ridhima and Shavraj from the AWS community team have helped us with all of the things. So thanks to them, as well as thanks to all the AWS community, India and global team for their always love and support for continuous support for the AWS User Group Pune. Thank you. I'm signing off from this AWS Security Week. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.